Yeah, so you said it really well. Like, we're a full stack on-chain data company. What that means is that we sit across the whole data stack, from RPCs to transformation and indexing to real-time APIs to dashboards and intelligence and analytics to marketing solutions, essentially.
Hey, GM folks. Today I'm joined by Rafa from Numia. Numia is a full-stack on-chain data company building real-time indexing, crypto-native tech, and wallet-based attribution infra. They're basically powering everything from RPCs to BigQuery integrations to SDKs that let wallet apps and DEX monetize through intent-based campaigns. This is BlockHunters Voices, the podcast for cool kids from the blockchain space. I'm Akim Buj, your host. Great to meet you, Rafa. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you, Joachim. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to the discussion, and I always like to start from the beginning and see how was your journey before you entered crypto. What was your background back there? How did you end up in this space, and how did you ultimately ended up doing Lumia?
Yeah, sure. Just a quick intro about myself. I'm Rafa, one of the co-founders of Numia. My actual name is Rafael. I'm from Latin America, but like people call me Rafa. It's just easier. Yeah, I think you presented Numia really well. And the journey of Numia is very interesting, but it goes back to when I started my career as a data scientist in the Web2 space, really. In the 2010s, this is I think 2014 maybe, a long time ago. I started working with mostly on the mobile space with apps, and just working on with different analytics teams on how to track user behavior on mobile apps, and how to use that data to kind of like improve the product, make better product decisions, inform marketing, for instance. And I did that for like about 7 years before I jumped into crypto. And it would honestly, that's where kind of like Numia comes from, because during those years, in the Web2 space,
that was the foundation of Numia, basically.
Pretty much, because essentially what I learned during those days is like how really you can translate data and the data from an organization into actual business value. Which when I started working in crypto, I realized like projects weren't really doing that, or data feels like a third tier problem in crypto. It's never at the top of the head of a crypto founder normally. And so that's how kind of like we saw an opportunity of saying, hey, actually there's a lot of value in on-chain data, and I think a lot of these businesses could extract more out of that. And that's how we kind of like identified the problem and started. And maybe just to pinpoint the transition really to Numia, like I started working for Interchain. That was my first job for an on-chain company, really, on the BD side. Essentially, like I had a friend working there, and they needed support on the BD side.
So that was back in 2021?
This is 2022.
2022.
Yeah.
Atom was doing good back then.
Yeah, no,
like $40, right?
Correct.
Just before the Luna collapse.
Yes. Actually, I signed my contract on April 15, I think, to start on May 1st or something like that. And I think the collapse was in April, so it was like really hot at that exact moment.
Man, crazy times.
Crazy times. Yeah. And maybe just to wrap it up on like how Numia just got kickstarted. Mark Koborisiewicz was like the founder of Binary Builders. He was leading the SDK team back then. Which was part of Interchain as well. and he knew I had a data science background, and when we were doing a lot of BD and for the Cosmos ecosystem, we're trying to figure out things, like realize, man, there's no data. Like we cannot go to do analytics and run queries and find out things about Cosmos. And that's when Marco approached me and told me, like, Rafa, like, aren't you a data scientist? Like, here's a way that you can collect data and like do analytics stuff with the SDK. And that's basically how things started. And from there, we just got interest to some of the projects here and there. And then suddenly, it snowballed into customers and into a real company.
Yeah, and it actually makes sense because you having the experience as a BD within the Cosmos ecosystem. Now you have the network, and you could put your data science background into practice.
Yes, exactly. Like, to be honest, one of the, like, Numia is a full bootstrap company. Like, we don't have any investors.
It's better.
Yeah, just absolutely. I mean, for our culture, it's definitely better. Some people argue differently, but it's a matter of preferences. But like, we have managed to bootstrap it, and one of the reasons was because we had the network to get to customers, to talk to like the L1s in Cosmos and understand their problems very quickly and just act, right? So absolutely, that definitely helped Numia in the beginning, especially.
For the folks out there that never heard of Numia, what's your high level pitch?
Yeah, so you said it really well. Like, we're a full stack on-chain data company. What that means is that we sit across the whole data stack, from RPCs to transformation and indexing, to real-time APIs, to dashboards and intelligence and analytics, to marketing solutions, essentially.
So basically, it's like a combination between Alchemy, Dune. What does on-chain marketing? I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah, and yeah.
And maybe something like Addressable, which is like a marketing, an ad tech company really in the space. So it's a combination of all of that. You're absolutely right. We even work with some of those players actually, and the reason we're so vertical, there's this startup mantra that you should focus on one thing, but since we launched in Cosmos, specialize in Cosmos, at least in the beginning, now part of the next steps are trying to expand somewhere else, but the Cosmos ecosystem wasn't served across the whole stack really, and for us to grab like most of the market share, we went vertical essentially, right? So and it was the good thing about our business is that if you have your data infra set up right, the marginal cost of like adding these vertical integrations into the stack,
you always can scale.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So basically your genesis was of course in the Cosmos ecosystem, but now do you work like with the EVM, SVM, Move ecosystems?
So right now we're still, I would say 90% of our work is in Cosmos, but Cosmos with like players like Inisha, where you can launch like EVM, Move rollups, or Celestia, where like some players, some rollups or some networks on Celestia are EVM, SVM, or whatever. Like these customers of ours have exposed Numia to other different like VMs, and that is kind of like a way of us plugging infra from other ecosystems. We're doing that gradually, but at some point, like we're gonna have support for like different VMs, etc., and that will allow us to kind of like go to market somewhere else a little bit more aggressively. So we're starting to do more and more outside of kind of like, let's say, the Cosmos stack specifically.
Yeah, expanding. Yeah, I mean, Cosmos is expanding too. I mean, most of the chains are EVM also, as you said, Inisha, Story Protocol is EVM also.
Yeah.
Say, I don't know if they have Cosmos, but
they still do,
EVM. Beta chain, even if it's EVM, still has Cosmos SDK. So I don't know, it's not limited, to the Cosmos stack.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's the beauty of it. The only bad part is now that the Cosmos dropped the whole EVM meta.
Yeah. It's like they Cosmos Hub dropped like their EVM, but in my opinion, we're we're talking about this move of like supporting enterprises building their own L1s with the Cosmos stack. I would assume that most of these L1s that these enterprise build are gonna have the Cosmos EVM in it anyway. So even though, yeah, the Cosmos Hub might drop the EVM for now, I think the EVM, the Cosmos EVM will become a bigger thing as ICL tries to onboard these L1s. So that's my guess for now anyway.
Yeah, I mean, it's a train that is going in that direction. You can't stop it.
Correct.
But for me, to be honest, the most interesting part about your business is Numia Engage. And why is that? Is because since crypto was born, you had all these kind of airdrops, people trying to farm those airdrops, people complaining that the airdrop was not fair. How do you track wallets? How do you do advertising to wallets? How do you know that that person is an actual user and is not a bot? So these kind of things fascinate me because you could say that numbers don't lie, but actually on-chain data could lie. So tell me a little bit about Numia Engage.
Yeah. So basically, like I was mentioning, we are in, our services are basically across the whole data stack, right? And we have one of the core principles that we have operated under has always been, if we can enable our customers to build more with data and do more with data and extract more with data at the highest level, so when they're meeting the consumer in their Dex app or whatever, we're gonna be more successful like downstream, right? And one of the things we realized quickly is, okay, like, but maybe we can support our customers like with these use case at the very top, right? So Google, when early 2000s didn't know how to monetize, at the end of the day people were telling them like, hey, you have to find a use case for the data that you're gathering, and that was advertising at the end. It's no different.
And now they sell all our data with no shame.
Exactly, basically. And the paradoxical thing about on-chain data is that it's just open, right? And there's a lot there, right? And one of the problems in crypto has always been growth. Every customer that we work with struggles somehow with growth. The growth mindset of like the 2010s is not ingrained into the Web3 ecosystem really. And so we saw an opportunity to help them with this like database marketing solution where they would still need all the data that we feed for them in order to engage with customers and grow their user base, right? And that's how we essentially came up with Numia Engage, which is an ad network that connects publishers and advertisers. But it really tries to solve the problem of giving advertisers a targeted reach to specific wallets, essentially. That
to understand basically their clients, their on-chain clients.
Exactly. And reach out to them. Like that's like the most important part, that you're essentially can identify which wallets are high value for your business potentially, and that you have a place to reach out to them and say, hey, put a targeted message there or an incentive, etc., so that wallet can eventually engage with your protocol, right? So yeah, we work with wallets like Leap and Kepler for ad space, and then with advertisers like UIDX, and basically a Neutron and a bunch of like Drop and a bunch of other players in the Cosmos ecosystem for now. And like the results are really, really good. Like the click rates of these messages, as long as they're targeted, they're really, really good. The conversion rates are also really, really good. And the cool thing about on-chain data is that we, out of the box, can tell the advertiser what the ROI is, because on-chain data is transparent, right? So we don't need to necessarily integrate complex SDKs into their apps or front ends or whatever. No, like we just look at kind of like the address that clicked on an ad potentially, and listen for conversions of a specific contract or conversion that we define with the customer, and can tell them right away like, hey, all these wallets that we targeted and clicked on the ad can generate or have generated this much revenue for your protocol, right? So like checking the ROI and tracking the attribution is like, I don't want to say it's easy, because it's not. Like, you need a lot of understanding about the data model, but it has this, Web 2 had this barrier of integration that Web 3 doesn't have, essentially. So that's an advantage. But yeah, that's Numia Engage at its core.
Can you tell me like an proper example, something that worked very well, if you can do that? Like, for example, I don't know, DYDX reach X wallet and something happened because it did that, or anything that comes into mind.
Yeah. So maybe a few examples. Like, we work with Stride, for instance, when they launched STTIA, and we essentially wanted to make all the TIA holders or stakers aware that, Stride was launching this, and there were a lot of addresses that weren't engaging with STTIA until like we put like the ad in the wallets, and
so basically that's where they see the ad.
Yeah,
they see the what in Kepler or Leap.
Yeah, correct.
I thought it was like similar to the bank Web3 messaging, something like that.
No. It's not like you send a message. It's like you basically go into your Kepler dashboard, and if you qualified for one of these audiences that we define with the advertiser, and in this case, all the TIA holders that have moved TIA or have staked TIA, they would qualify for that ad, see the ad and say, oh, that's interesting, and the click where it's like where
makes more sense like this. Or could be hey bro, you have an airdrop to claim your airdrop, it's free money.
We also did that with the Celestia airdrop and the Namada airdrop, and like the click rates are 15-20%, which is like a ridiculous number for any ad banner, really. So and it's really all about that targeting. So very quickly on the technical side, advertiser tells us, hey, I want to target this specific audience. We generate this audience in our backend, and kind of like our integration with the publisher, when a wallet launches the Kepler wallet or the Leap wallet, the integration, so Kepler or Leap asks us like, hey, I have this address logged in, do they qualify for something? And then if yes, then we just return an ad for that address, and then the address would see them. The good thing is that the publisher as well can be, it's their traffic, and they have the final saying of what they show to the user, right? And they have given us requirements of like, hey, it has to be contextual. Like, we don't want you to just put a banner to everyone, right? No, like if you're a TIA holder, then it makes sense that you see a Stride TIA ad. Or if you are a Neutron holder, it makes sense that you see an ad of a Neutron DEX, right? Like, so these are, and the publishers like give us those requirements, and like we can program that into the system so that the targets are, the ads are contextual and not just like a little scar to the user because they're annoyed to see it, right? So
exactly. But what's the kind of cost to actually do something like this? Because I don't know, it's not comparable to, you don't have like a benchmark like in Web 2 or something.
No, so you're absolutely right. Like, we started doing the model was just cost per click.
Okay.
And so if an address clicks on an ad, the advertiser pays us and we pay the publisher, right? We started, with something between like $1, but then like, so that was too little because the ROI was like very high. And then we basically sometimes also work based on ROI, so it may vary, right? But like, it is, a few dollars a click. It's kind of like the average price of these campaigns. And so far that model has worked well for us.
So basically this is one revenue stream coming from Numia Engage. The other one comes from RPCs and indexing, BigQuery. So these are kind of the revenue streams right now.
Yes, exactly. So we basically we have all these products in the stack, and each product has different pricing structures. Most of them are kind of like a SaaS-based solutions, except for the marketing one, which is like a only a variable cost on the clicks, right? But everything else has kind of like a data platform cost, which is a SaaS license fee, and then a usage cost, right? So if we index your chain, we will charge you a license fee, but then a usage fee based on how much data we process, right? If we give RPCs, for instance, we give public RPCs for Celestia, we charge them basically on a SaaS fee of like having the setup running and a usage fee based on how many requests we get, right? So it depends on the product, it varies, but we operate mostly as a SaaS company than anything else, yeah.
And since the fact that you are bootstrap, which, as I said earlier, is better in my opinion, how big is the team right now?
Yeah, we're a team of 10. We're a team of 10. And honestly, like now with AI, we're like 2x the productivity that we were last year. So we have managed to keep up with the growth with the same team size, essentially.
Yeah, I mean, that's the normies thing, like AI is gonna take our jobs, but actually the AI makes your jobs easier, so you don't
Yeah.
you grow faster. So basically, you just extra revenue for you.
Yeah, exactly. I'm on that band.
Less cost, extra revenue. So
exactly. So it's for us, it's just more productivity, more growth, more customers. So absolutely, yeah.
How do you see the whole crypto and AI thing right now? Do you think AI needs crypto? Do you think it needs to be decentralized? How do you see it?
To be honest, like I'm not like super idealistic about any of these topics. So I don't have like strong opinions. So don't take my opinions as like any hardcore statements, or they're loosely held. But honestly, like I don't. I see two areas really of like big intersection. Like one of them is agents, and when we have like so many agents just doing so many things, I believe in like doing so many payment transactions at some point, settlement on crypto is so much cheaper than on credit cards. So I hope and I see that as like a really interesting intersection, but that's like TBD. So I'm just waiting on that. One that's a little bit more concerning to us on a day-to-day level, for instance, like I'm trying to come from a more pragmatic approach, is the verifiability of like the AI content generation or code generation or whatever, right? Like in crypto, you can verify things. Like you can cryptographically verify things. Like crypto is a deterministic technology. LLMs are a non-deterministic technology, and I think like we have had some problems like because of these non-deterministic issues, mostly on the code side, or like the outputs that we get sometimes at the end of the pipelines, for instance, specifically talking about data pipelines. And if we could have some way of like verifying things better in between, I think that will give us a little bit more reproducibility. And I think crypto could do something very interesting there. Honestly, I don't know what exactly. Like, I'm not super deep into like cryptographic technology and how it works and how it could potentially. But I think there's something there verifying like what the AIs are doing, because that's exactly what crypto is. Like, it allows you to verify information right away. So I think those two areas, that's what I see as like the most interesting one I'm keeping an eye on.
Yeah, do you know? So my background is actually in media and cinema, and
nice.
it came into my mind right now that they're talking about AI generated content. Right now for some projects they don't even have like script writers anymore. They only have people working with AI. So basically they are like a secretary to the AI, let's say ChatGPT or something, and they just correct and go back and forth with the generated content and working directly. So zero creative, everything AI.
That's
And they are
crazy.
paid like shit, you know? This is nothing, bare minimum. Yeah.
That's so interesting. Yeah. I mean, honestly, I think AI is a big, like, there are a lot of big changes, and like, I think we're still not sure like how things are gonna turn out. But like, it's actually really fun just to leave all these changes day to day. To be honest.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't have anything 3 years ago.
Yeah.
It changed our lives. I use ChatGPT daily. I don't use Google anymore. I use ChatGPT.
Yeah.
It's
Same.
crazy. I mean, the shift was so rapid, and it really made us grow faster, the people that are using it. But on the other hand, it makes us dumber, because at some point in time I'm searching something on ChatGPT, I'm saying, why do I need to do that? Why don't I just think about it? You know,
Yeah.
it dumps out in a way. But it's definitely interesting. I mean, the people who will know how to use AI will grow faster. So
Yeah.
I think it's going to be important in crypto, especially in data. So yeah, let's see how that works.
Yeah. Yeah, no, 100%. And it has become really good at like writing Python and SQL code, which is like a lot of the things we do. So really, for us, it's just a productivity booster, and hopefully that translates like into the same revenue.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and you still need to know what to do, but it's just like
Yeah.
an assistant to guide you to come with ideas.
exactly.
You still need to have like a business model in your head. You still need to do the actual execution.
Yeah.
You still need to have conversations with people, because I feel as the more AI and AI is going to be more present, people are going to return to, oh, I don't want to see AI generated content. I
Yeah.
want to see something drawn. Similar to, I don't want to listen to music on Apple Music or YouTube. I want vinyl. I think something
100%.
like this is going to happen.
Yeah, 100%.
What do you feel like is the hardest problem in crypto data infra right now that nobody talks about? How do you see that part?
Yeah, I think there are. Honestly, I think there's like the main problem, and also like why I think we have a business, like the whole reason we have a business is like, in general, indexing is just very tedious. Maybe I would name two things because I think they're maybe equally important. Like, indexing is like very tedious. Like, you like basically the way you index data normally is you read from the nodes, take the data out, and process it in a way so that you can actually make sense out of it, right? This processing part is very tedious. Like, for instance, like in EVM, you have to decode the contracts and the ABCIs to like, you need the ABCIs in order to decode the data. In Cosmos, you have to do a lot of protobuf decoding in order that you can make sense out of the messages that you get from a transaction, for example. And that is just so tedious. Like, and blockchains are not defined to optimize data pipelines downstream. So that part is just really annoying. This is really, really annoying, and the reason why many people just don't want to do it, and the reason why we have a business, I would say. But I would say that the bigger problem, in my opinion, is that people don't know how to translate all this on-chain data. So if you go to Minscan and look at a transaction, you will see, you look at the raw data, you will see these JSON fields and a bunch of signatures and whatnot. And like a normal person would, even us, like when we look at them, it's like, what does this say? Like, what does this mean? Like, and really, I think the translation from that raw on-chain data into like actual usable data, that part is just very hard, because you have to go deep into the data model of each chain and potentially each protocol and potentially each contract, and then apply that knowledge into the transformations, like into the code, in order to get an output of like reasonable, consumable, usable data, right? And this part is like a lot of work, is like a lot of understanding about blockchains, a lot of understanding about the business of your customer, for example, right? Like the way you for instance, for osmosis, like the way you calculate how much revenue osmosis does is like really complicated. It's like
really?
yeah, because they have so many different sources, and they and the way that manifests itself on the raw on-chain data is like really hard, right? They have four different revenue streams: proto rev, protocol fees. They have this new MEV revenue essentially.
Oh, okay. I didn't even know about that.
And basically, I don't remember at this point, like some other fees essentially, right? And those four can come from like, two of them might come from like swaps, but like three of them might come from like a different types of interactions of LPs. And ProtoRev is like its own thing. And like, if you really just want to give osmosis, it's like, hey, here's how much revenue you're making on a monthly basis. That is like this really hard transformation of like on-chain raw data into like a chart of revenue. Like that jump is like really hard. So I would say like that is the hardest problem in crypto, in my opinion. And we had it especially because every app chain in Cosmos is different, potentially has different, they have different custom modules. They have different ways of calculating revenue. So on the EVM side is a little bit easier because like the underlying data is like all the same, and smart contracts like follow a very strict way of like doing things. You still need to decode each contract, which is another pain, but I would say that's the summary of like the hard part of like this whole business.
Yeah, it's interesting that you're telling me that, and I have an issue for you, and maybe you can tell me if it's something that you can help me with. So, you know how the validator business works. Basically, you cash in revenue, commissions from a bunch of networks, right? Some of them are AVM, some of them are Cosmos, some of them are Polkadot, even all of different. So back here in Romania, because we have the businesses set here, so basically what we agreed to do with the accountants, the legislation is a little bit in a gray area because people don't really know, but what we agreed to actually do right now is we do it like this and actually do that manually. So at the end of each month, let's say 31st, 31, I have in this validator address X amount of tokens, put them in an Excel. In the back end, I have a PowerPoint with all the prices from that day, and I do that manually. This has the prices, and basically I give them an Excel with 30 tokens, the prices in a PowerPoint, so they have the prices from that day, screenshots, and X amounts of tokens at that day equals, I don't know, 500 tokens or $1,000. And at the end, you have balance less than 10K. Can you do something for us that is automated, that can give us every month this stuff automated, so I don't have to do it manually?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, like we can do that. Like that's something we can. I'm not gonna say easily because like there's some work behind it, but like it's something that you set up once and then you will have it automated forever, essentially.
Yeah, and then you just have to add or remove a network if needed.
Correct. Exactly. Yeah.
Happens.
Yeah.
Or add a new wallet or remove. Yeah. We'll talk about this.
Okay. Perfect. Happy to help.
Yeah. It's interesting the fact that you told me how hard it is to actually work with all these kind of protocols, but how do you ensure like real-time performance?
Yeah, at the end of the day, that is a data engineering problem. And I might get a little bit technical, but like I think that's part of the answer. But essentially, the data sources are like RPC nodes, right? Like, just like in Web 2, your data sources will have been like the Google Analytics API and potentially like the Facebook API to like grab data about your ads and maybe a data warehouse of your own or an analytics product like Mixpanel or whatever. Essentially, you pull data from all those sources, put it somewhere, like process it, and then put it somewhere else so you can consume it. Basically, for us, RPCs are the main data sources, right, from like different chains. The one most important thing is that we have reliable nodes. So we manage most of like the network nodes that we run ourselves, and those nodes need to be performant. They need to have like perfect uptime. They don't need to fall behind as well on the blocks, right? So they're like on the block side already DevOps work that we need to do to make sure that our nodes are up to date at the latest block. That's one part of the work. And then there's the ingestion part, which is like a data engineering problem where like normally what you do is like you read from these nodes, and there are other ways to do it. Like you could push from the nodes as well data. It's actually a little bit better, but that requires you to maintain different versions of the nodes other than the chains, and that becomes a little bit another mess. But like, let's say fundamentally you read from the nodes as fast as you can or as frequent as you can, depending on the block times. And then, you get this data, the data that you want from the node, and then you basically go into a pipeline of like processing, and then you fan out. We call it that, like we fan out to different databases. Like one of them is a database for transaction history for an address, for example, for that specific API. Another one is just a data warehouse or a data lake where we just dump everything, and from there we transform it into other tables. Another one is AWS S3, because that's where Dune, we give Dune Analytics some of the Cosmos Chains data. They consume it from there, for instance. So at the end of the day, it's like really node performance and maintenance, and like a data engineering problem, and like this part of ingestion and transforming. And then we also have like this reading side, when you read the data from us, right? Like ideally ingestion is like as fast as possible, and then on the read side you also need like performant APIs to be able to serve the data with like super low latency. So it's really a data engineering problem. And we operate on the cloud. Part of our most of our things are on the cloud essentially, and we rely a lot on Cloudflare, Hetzner, for instance, and Google Cloud. But yeah, like we also like these technologies change really fast.
Yeah, you always have to adapt in this business.
So you have to be like constantly be trying new things and et cetera, right? So right now, for instance, like this might not tell you much, but like we were using this technology called ClickHouse.
I don't know what's that. I don't know.
It's a database, but it's like really, really good at like reading fast. Normally, an engineer would tell you they use Postgres, like that's a standard database. But like ClickHouse is just when you read from a database, like super, super fast. We're trying that right now. It works really well. It's open source. So really about just trying new things. It's a lot of that as well.
Yeah, so, and you're now basically working with only cloud providers. You don't have like nothing in-house or something.
We basically run some things on bare metal, but like the machines are still on the cloud.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, like we don't host anything ourselves on premise or whatever, right? Like, but yes, like so you could say our whole stack is in the cloud.
Yeah, I mean, we have some bare metal machines here in Romania. You also use the cloud, but that's the tricky part when you have your machines, because as you said, you always have to adapt. So when you have your own machines, you can't scale so fast as just going and changing something into AWS or OVH Cloud or something.
Yeah, absolutely. There are pros and cons for it, but yes, it's more maintenance. It's not trivial. And we for instance, like optimizing there is not as much business value for us as optimizing here, for instance, on the ingestion and like reading side of things. So it depends.
Yeah, I know the global sales guy from OVH Cloud. So if you wanna, I
Ah,
don't know.
nice. Yeah, that'd
Yeah,
be lovely.
yeah.
Nice.
Just ping me. Great services. OVH. We use them. So
Okay,
ping me if you
perfect.
wanna connect or something. You go up with
Okay,
them. Maybe you can. I mean, you definitely have a lot of users more than we have. So makes
nice. I
sense.
have a few follow-ups with you then.
Yeah. What do you feel like is your North Star right now? Developer usage, query volume, campaign adoption?
Yeah, I think right now for us is just increasing the number of L1s we work with. Like that's our ideal customer, like the L1s, because we're not with the L1s. We're trying to really um, support and help them across their whole data strategy, not just like providing a simple service or like providing RPCs or indexing. No, like, hey, we want to be your data partner. Like your ecosystem needs a data playbook, and we want to provide that, right? Like from indexing to RPCs, but there's also like public analytics, ecosystem analytics, validator analytics, for instance, another one, like marketing solutions, dev tools, etc. So there's a lot there. So really, like we're increasing the number of L1s that we work with. That's kind of like our metric, really, and that translates, very transparently into like direct contracts for us. So that's how we grow our revenue as well.
Yeah, interesting. So, how do you feel about the Cosmos ecosystem right now? Do you know any cool new projects that are coming in? I know that you had a campaign recently with ZigChain, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. So Cosmos, yeah, it's no secret, but like I think it has like struggled for growth in the past
Mm-hmm.
year and a half maybe. Um, and nevertheless, there's still like L1s popping up, like using the stack here and there.
Yeah, the stack is perfect. They don't have a problem with the stack. They have a problem with drama and the bad BD and growth.
Exactly. Like, and so honestly, and selfishly here, the adoption of the stack benefits us because also like we can provide like services for somebody who uses the stack and maybe doesn't want to do anything with Cosmos ecosystem at all. Like, so for us, like the L1s adopting the stack is a great thing. They're still like using it. Like the stack is really strong actually. SigChain.
Yeah, like Story Protocol. I mean, Story Protocol uses the
Exactly.
stack, but they are not affiliated at all with
Exactly.
Cosmos.
TorChain. I mean, TorChain uses the stack, right? And they never
Yeah,
like. I think they don't use IBC also. That's why. But like, yeah, like the stack is super powerful. And honestly, like from what I'm seeing from ICL, my read at least is a bet on the stack. Really, um, it feels like this fight for users is just lost somehow as an ecosystem. I think, to be honest. Um, but if we enable these L1s to grow by themselves, potentially some of them like might even just serve institutions, like Ondo or RWA, like L1s potentially just might work with institutions. Like they might not need users, and I think that's an interesting playbook, and I like the new strategy of like supporting enterprises building with the stack. I I think that's the basis really, because fighting for users feels like really hard at this point. Um, and yeah, honestly, like Solana and the EVM are just ended up like really owning those consumer use cases at this point, at least like base, right? That I feel that the ecosystem like could benefit really from becoming like this place where enterprises go and launch their blockchain technologies. Like I genuinely think that that's a good strategy from ICL.
yeah, and I think a good example here could be like Soneum. They launch in L2 instead of launching in L2, launching on Cosmos L1.
Yeah, yeah,
And we see a lot of, I don't know. Everybody wants a chain. You don't know why. Maybe it's just trend or something, but I
yeah,
don't know. Warner Bros. I want to do a chain. I don't know why.
yeah.
To put movies on chain, some shit or something. Do a Cosmos L1. Why not?
Yeah,
Yeah, it makes total sense, and I think we are at this crossroads right now where crypto is not, you couldn't say it's going mainstream, but it's going institutional. We are
Yeah,
not going mainstream, but institutions are adopting more and more. And as we see institutions adopt crypto, we're gonna actually see more retail adopting crypto.
I agree with that. Yeah,
Of course, there's an issue with chain abstraction, chain fragmentation. How do you call it? TVL fragmentation
liquidity
and
fragmentation. Yeah,
liquidity fragmentation. With the wallet setup, but you will have solutions like connect to Google if you don't want to memorize 12 words or put it on a piece of paper. So, we're getting there.
yeah.
We're close.
Yeah, no, I really agree with you. We need to be patient, and I think that's also one of the things that we have lacked as an ecosystem. But yeah, no, like really, the stack has manifested itself, like as a in my opinion, as a clear winner. And if that's a strength, I think we should double down on that. And I think I think ICL strategy is a good one. Yeah.
Rafa, I want to know a little bit about you. Who is Rafa? But not in a way free.
Yeah.
Do you have like any routines, habits, non-negotiables that keep you now grounded and high-performing asset in the Web3 space?
Yeah. I honestly, I try to be very pragmatic. Like that's one of the things that we try to do at Numia. Really, I don't consider myself an idealist. To be honest, like I was never a Web3 maxi or something like that, or really. For us, it's all about solving real business problems.
Yeah, which is very rare in Web3.
and the data thing, was a problem nobody was solving, and like we saw an opportunity, and it turned out to be true. Like we managed to build a profitable business here, and that's how we try to operate. We like make decisions like with a cold head, be pragmatic, listen to the market, like super important. And if it doesn't work, kill it. I think really that we have tried a few things that haven't worked here and there, and it's important that we don't get stuck on them. So definitely that, and then maybe the other one is like, I think Numia, and I feel we have our team is amazing, and the team, I think our team's strength is customer success. And that's something the ecosystem or like the outside world will never see. Like it's our interactions with the customer that I feel is a really big strength of the Numia team, because we really deeply care about the customer and their success. Not just because if they're not successful, we're not going to have another customer, but like we really genuinely at the personal level care. And that manifests in our support, in the way we deal with incidents, in the way we treat our customers and they treat us, and the personal relationship at the end. And that has been really, really good. Like our churn, we've had barely any churn really. And if we had any churn, it's mostly because either a customer might have gone out of business or they pivoted or something like that.
It happens. You can't control
it's
that.
It's part of the game. Yeah, exactly. But I think always, I really try to transmit this to the team that, just care about the customer. Like if we do that, like other things will follow. And even if like we have to go the extra mile or eat a little cost here or eat some cost there.
Yeah, long term is important.
Long-term game with long-term people. I like that. I heard that from Naval. I like that saying. So that's how we try to operate at Numia, and the principles I try to kind of like.
What I'll add on top of what you said earlier about if something doesn't work, you have to kill it. In this game, I feel speed is very, very important. I mean, it's better to start something to see if it works out and uh, improve it step by step than actually getting stuck. Oh, what am I gonna do? I'm gonna do that.
Yeah.
So faster the decisions. Same with the kill. Doesn't work, kill it. Because everything moves so fast here. So
Yeah.
better
100%.
to improve step by step.
100%. Like action is information, right? Like you will, and normally there are a lot of smart people, and normally when you have a lot of smart people, they tend to discuss like all the ifs and else, and they might be right into considering so many factors that you might have never considered, but at the end of the day, nobody knows until you do it, act upon it. So we really also try to operate like, you just try something, do it. If you don't know, it's okay to make a mistake and just revert it, right? So absolutely, it's really important. I agree with you 100%.
What do you feel is the biggest challenge you face, and how did you handle it and impacted you?
I think in the past, you mean, right?
Yeah,
Or
in the past.
I think really, honestly, like bootstrapping the company was just very hard, because like you have this risk of running out of cash very
Yeah,
early.
I know. It's the same with our
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So, and we have like, our infra is not cheap, and this like I'm very careful with the money, etc. And like it has been really hard to just like get to here where we're like at least somehow a bit comfortable. It is
Yeah,
been,
when you can actually have a cash flow and know what kind of revenue you can expect next
exactly.
month. Yeah.
Exactly that, and just get some predictable revenue, and but at the same time, it has been the biggest challenge for us because it also has prevented us from investing some areas that we wanted to invest, potentially miss some growth opportunities because we didn't have the money. So that's why it's somehow arguments like of like getting VC money might be, there are other ways of funding. Like we could have maybe ask for a loan or something that could have been possible. That's just not normal in the technology sector, I guess, but on the bootstrap business at least.
But do banks give crypto businesses loans?
No, exactly. Probably we would have to get a loan within the crypto community somehow. Or
Yeah.
right? But yeah, but that is like that struggle of like not being able to invest, or like, oh, like are we gonna be able to pay salaries? But like finally, gladly the business has grown and like generates enough cash right now. But that has always been the biggest struggle for us. And maybe the other thing is the fact that we are across the whole stack also prevents us from focusing us on one thing, which sometimes is the way you compound on the long term. That bothers me sometimes, to be quite honest, that like we haven't like grabbed this one thing and only do that and like keep banging on that so that it compounds way and way more over time. But honestly, like some of the things are starting to pay off right now. For instance, like our integration with Dune Analytics is really smooth now. We work with them really well, where like we can onboard Cosmos chains there really easily. So and that is only doable right now because of all the groundwork we've done in the past. So that kind of like has paid off. But in general, these are all problems of starting a business. This is like saying, I think Elon Musk says that a friend says that starting a business is like standing on an abyss, chewing glass or something. And yeah, like I deal with
especially in Web3, man.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. And I know you probably know this as well, but like we struggle with problems all day long. Like you have to deal with problems because it doesn't make any sense for you to spend time where things are working, right? So that's
exactly.
Maybe just to summarize, like it's been just a normal entrepreneurial struggle, but it's been worth it and it's been really fun.
But are you guys paid in stable coins or paid in the tokens that eventually die out?
Mostly stable coins. Like I would say 90% of our revenue is like stable coins. Like we try to avoid the tokens because like, the volatility, risk, etc. But like
Exactly.
sometimes we do, depending on the project and the risk that we assess, etc.
Yeah. It makes totally sense. Uh, Rafael, I really respect your time. So right now we're gonna enter the last chapter of the podcast, and
Perfect.
we want to wrap things up with some rapid fire questions. So basically, quick top of mind answers for these ones. Favorite book, paper, podcast, movie, something that's changed the way you think, something that comes at the top of your mind right now.
Favorite podcasts, I hear it maybe like twice a year, is like from Naval, How to Get Rich Without Getting Lucky. One of my favorite ones. It's just there's some core principles there that I love and are so refreshing to me that I need to hear them on and on.
I'll check it out.
Okay.
I watch podcasts, but I'll check this one.
It's really good. It's like 3.5 hours, but like it's really, really good, like super refreshing. And then my favorite book is a Latin American book called The City and the Dogs, about like a military school in Latin America and some kids there. And like it's a great novel. But I'm from Latin America, and this book for some reason connected so well with me and my roots in Latin America.
Who has written the book?
It's called by this Peruvian author called Mario Vargas Llosa.
I know.
He won a literature.
It's with teenagers, right?
Yeah.
I read it. I read it when I was a kid.
Amazing. It's one of my it's my favorite book, and it just made me connect with like my Latin roots in a different way. Also because my dad lived something similar to what like happened in this novel, and it was just a very personal book to me.
It's a great book, man.
It's a great book, and it just reminds me of like the struggles of the Latin American middle class and lower classes, and like how we in that region, I call it like a stagnated region, struggle with just pushing things forward, and I just love it. Yeah, great that you read it. Love it.
Yeah, I mean, the author is very well known.
Yeah, he's very well known.
The book also.
Yeah.
What do you feel is like the most underrated and overrated trend in crypto right now?
Underrated, I think, is, in my opinion, stablecoins. It's still a massive trend, but I've been also involved in a startup in payments before. And when I understood how payments work and how that industry works, it's unbelievable. I don't want to say scammy because it's not a scam, but like dysfunctional and inefficient, that stablecoins is just a matter of time to take over the whole financial system, in my opinion. It's just like the way money is moved around in the world is just so ridiculously inefficient that it's already solved. I think it's just a matter of like regulation, adoption, especially of the institutions and banks.
Yeah, and especially in Latin America.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly. Remittances, for instance, like in Latin America, like I think it's around $200 billion from the US every year coming into Latin America in remittances. And people pay the average fees like between 5 and 7% of that. Like, what is it? Like, it's $14 billion of just fees. It's ridiculous. So absolutely, in Latin America, I think that will be a massive. So really, I think stablecoins are still underused, and something that's overhyped. Honestly, loose opinion that's loosely held. I think the whole real world assets, but especially like tokenizing
everything,
tokenizing like things. I still haven't like seen what is really like. I understand it, but like I haven't seen the use cases materialize themselves yet. And
because nobody did it, the legislation is not there yet.
Yeah, exactly. So maybe it's because of a regulation thing. But I think there's a lot there. But I think people are just hyping it before they solve the problems.
Yeah, man, but that's how they do it in crypto.
Yeah, exactly.
Investors want to get their money.
Exactly, and honestly, that's a little bit of a problem that I have with crypto sometimes. Like, it's been this place where the incentives are completely misaligned because an investor has the incentive to sell your token at a higher price after investing. Exactly. It's not invested in your company's success, especially because token prices are decoupled.
Yeah, man, they want to dump your token.
Exactly. So anyway, but that's a podcast for another day as well, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Where do you feel we are in the market right now? Start of the bull run, end of the bull run. Are you optimistic? How do you feel?
I'm optimistic on Bitcoin. at this point, honestly, if Bitcoin stays on the same price forever, for me, is already a massive success.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we're gonna see Bitcoin having like the 4-year cycle anymore. Like dropping to 20K, man.
Yeah,
I don't think we're gonna see that anymore.
And even like I said, like even if it stays on the same price forever, for me, it's already a massive success. Like as a store of value, this technology, it ended up working. I think. So I'm bullish on Bitcoin. Everything else, honestly, I just don't know. Like, I hate to not answer your question, but like, it's like
that's an answer also.
Nobody knows, so why?
Yeah, nobody knows. Exactly. Yeah. It's foggy, man.
It's foggy.
Yeah. It's foggy as hell.
100%. And yeah.
Top 3 crypto apps that you actually use?
I'm gonna go with Kepler. I just love Kepler. I also love Leap. But I use more Kepler because that's where I started to use it.
Yeah, me also.
But I love it. Like I think that honestly, like they solved multi-chain wallet before anyone else, right? Because they had to, and the way they did it, I think it was so smooth, so nice. So definitely that. I'm also gonna go with on DYDX. Like I trade a lot on DYDX, and
really, how is that working right now?
Honestly, like I mean, I started very early there.
Yeah, I mean they started out as in Ethereum, right?
Yeah. But like, yeah, I like it. Honestly, I think it's just I like the product. It feels familiar to me. And I mean, I'm also a little bit biased.
How is it different than Hyperliquid? I don't really like on-chain perps, so that's why I'm asking.
Honestly, I haven't even like used Hyperliquid enough to give you a good answer. You know, I'm really stick to it, and I like it. I just really go to it, do my trades. I don't trade that much to be honest, but I really like the product, the experience, etc. And then I'm gonna go to. Honestly, I also really like Osmosis. Like, also been there for a while, and I really
it's very clean.
I honestly, like, I think if more crypto projects, even in the EVM side, had their like UX, I think we would have more users. I think they've suffered a little bit from like the whole Cosmos users leak. But I really like, seriously, I really like the product, like the DEX product. I enjoy using it. So I would say those 3.
Advice to founders building in 2025?
I'm going to stick to action is information, especially in these days where things change so fast.
Love it.
There's nothing.
24/7, man. Action 24/7.
Yes.
Even when you sleep.
Even if it's the wrong action, but you'll figure it out quick.
Yeah, it's better. Yeah. Brother, before you wrap this up, where can people follow Numia? Who they contact if they want to work with you? Or what's the best way?
Yeah, thank you. You can follow us on Twitter. We're under Numia Data. Or you can go to our website, numia.xyz, and contact us through the form. If you are an L1 or a smart contract project that needs help along the lines of like on-chain data and on-chain analytics, on-chain data strategy or growth, feel free to contact us. Like, we're happy to just jump on a quick call, see if we can help you solve your problem, non-binding, really just a quick chat. We'd love to just understand how we could potentially help.
Thank you for this, Rafael. It was great.
Yeah, thank you, Joachim. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate you guys giving us the space. From the whole team, a big thank you to you guys.
Have a great one.
Okay, you too, man. Bye-bye.